Thanks, Renat, for your passionate invitation to Adelaide. We would definitely take it up. I now invite our past president, Ravi Lochan Singh, to render his address. Ravi, please.
Thanks, Balaji. Thanks, Nishi. Thanks, the AAERI group, and thanks all of you, especially those who have chosen to miss the IDP dinner to listen to us here. So that's the first and foremost, most important. I'm sorry, our spread of food may not be that attractive, our drinks may not be that great, but believe me, we really mean business. Now, coming to, I was listening through the presentations today, and frankly, I was trying to read between lines of various presenters who shared what's going to come. And one of the things that really, living in Australia for all these years, I've realized that the politicians in Australia and politicians in India are roughly the same. They make the statements and they really take years to really live by those statements. Last 1 week to 10 days or maybe 2 weeks, all of us in the international education space have been seeing announcements by announcements daily almost. And now it's come to, when I talk to people, and I try to find out whom did they consult before announcing those statements, everybody seems to deny that they were talked to. So I really don't know what's happening. I was hoping today that the minister will come out, there'll be an ESOS draft shared. We will know exactly what the GST or genuine student test is going to be, and what we are learning that it could be delayed by months. But with the pace in which the announcements were made about 2 weeks ago, or maybe 7, 8 days ago, it seemed that everything was already done and dusted, and we will be having those papers before us. It's not going to happen. And from what I learned today, and Nishi is there to confirm it to me, Phil did mention the 300-word SOP will go away, right? But Phil also told me that not going away before March of next year. So for the first intake of next year, we've got to live with those 300-word SOPs and the GTEs. So that's the missing line that we sometimes forget. One of the great things that I've heard is that over the years, I have been, and AAERI has been, and every single AAERI executive over the years has been championing the cause of offshore agents, universities' interest in promoting courses offshore, the money spent by various departments of the government in promoting Australia offshore, and the students arriving here and moving from one college to another. Last year, some of you might remember, we were discussing roughly the same thing, and I was actually pointed out that I was being a bit too aggressive when I was telling people that SOP is the first beginning when the student is told how to fraud. And so coming to this, if SOP is really going to disappear, and when it does, I think that will be a huge pat on our backs, all of us. The other things that we are looking at is that we've heard about the concurrent COE measure. I want to share with you guys, this was known to the government and known to the policymakers for roughly 1.5 years. But unless everybody is advocating a change, it doesn't change. And this is where AAERI's role has been there all throughout in fighting for finding loopholes in the system and helping it being plugged. But not everything is going to be plugged. We heard the announcement about commissions for onshore being banned. Somebody said restricted. Australian Financial Review ran a title saying onshore commissions gone, but I'm told that it's not going to go. It's going to change. It's going to be reconsidered, and that's why it's not going to be announced yet. And we don't know in what shape it will be in future. So we've got to wait for the fine print, guys. We've got to wait for what ESOS review, what ESOS changes is going to look around. Jim, we've been talking about aggregators for years. Everybody sees it there. We didn't manage to bring about the sub-agents being declared onto the websites. It's not possible, guys. The aggregators have 3,000 to 5,000 sub-agents. Which university is going to list each of the sub-agents on the website? Somebody mentioned we mature, we become mature. Now we accept that it's not going to happen. But what we know and what is definite is that all the major aggregators have failed. This is a reality before us. I'm not naming any aggregators, but over the last 3 to 4, 5 years, EdTech, which was promoted by everyone as the new thing in town, is proven that we are back to face-to-face counseling. We are back to offices. The traditional counselors have mettle. It is not all about algorithms. And this is something which I wanted to share, Jim. In fact, every university you talk to them, they say bulk of our students whom we manage to retain are coming from our traditional agents. And I think that is the message for my AAERI colleagues, that only hope is that the visas can be linked to the institutions. We are going to talk about it, Nishi. Hopefully the visas will be linked to the institution. I just hope that one day the COEs on the front page will list the name of the agent. I hope one day Australian Home Affairs will look at New Zealand immigration, and in New Zealand what happens if a student has applied through an agent, and if the visa is applied through somebody else, or if the visa is applied directly, the immigration calls up the students and often denies the visa. So I just hope some best practices will be borrowed from around the world. And Nishi, one of the things that I would compliment you and your team and your effort, I'm actually part of your team, is that we are continuing to keep the resonance and echo about the good work that we have done. Some of it will not bear fruit in 6 months. Some of it will take 6 years to happen, but it will happen. The onshore retention issue and the poaching of students has been a part of AAERI agenda since 2013-14, has formed a part of several submissions. And finally, we are seeing some movement in that direction. In fact, a few months ago, when we talked about the US model of where the commissions are not given for onshore, even the policy makers didn't even know what US was doing. So I think there's a lot that we can take back with us. We'll continue doing our good work, and offshore agents will always be defended by AAERI. Offshore quality agents will always be defended by AAERI. And before I close, I think one more point which I picked up from Phil's statement, if you guys remember, he mentioned that next week there'll be a recommendation announced about regulation of agents, and what did he add thereafter? Not of offshore agents, of onshore agents. The role of regulating offshore agents remains of AAERI. Thank you very much.